need to develop a system, maybe my raising my hand. How has God, I want you to talk about, and it doesn't have to be miracle, because mine isn't a miracle story, but I got a really good story. For you, how do you feel that God has helped you in your life? This is to the person who's like, God's never fucking helped me. What has he done for me? All he shows me is this and this and this. We can't change anything in culture. Look at what's going on. This is what, you know what I mean? Like, there's always like, what is that person who's like, or going to a call, you can't explain to me, I don't believe in past lives, things, why that shit happened. Like, what is this type of person? If you could tell them you don't believe in, okay, having a blessed life, God is helping you. God, source, universe. But if the person were to look at their life and be like, how has God, Andy, how has God helped you, really?
I would ask them, how has God not helped you? Too many people are just focused on what they don't have. They're focused on the bad, this, that, and the other, and they think God's Santa Claus. You know, I prayed for this, it didn't happen. Well, I wanted a pony as a kid. I didn't get it. I mean, my parents aren't evil, right? So I think the problem is that what you want? Is that what you need? Is that what he had in mind for you? I don't know. I don't have that. I don't have the creator's mindset. I can tell you this, that it is no way that I can look at my life and say that God didn't have a hand in it, because I should have been dead, because I did stupid stuff as a teenager, driving too fast, drinking, driving, all that bad stuff. You know, I did all that. And then the mistakes I made as a firefighter in a fire, I should have been dead. You know,
what was a mistake you made?
I've stepped out in traffic with a tractor trailer going by. You know how many firefighters are killed every year on the interstate? They're more killed on that than there are in the fire ground. You know, I've battled anxiety and depression and had bad thoughts about things I shouldn't have, and I'm still here. You know how many firefighters take their own lives every year? More than they can count. They're not even tracked accurately. Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance is the only one I know that's tracking them. In the last 4 weeks, one department in Florida had 2 suicides, same department. Columbus, Ohio had 2 suicides, the same department.
In the last month?
In the last month. You think that's coincidence that these people are taking their own lives?
No, there's no coincidence.
No, there's not. I mean, cumulative stress and all that stuff, all the things that I look at in this world, you can look at dark, you can look at light, you can look at however you want. But in my life, there's no way that some guy from Union County, North Carolina, in the middle of nowhere could be where I'm at today and doing the things I'm doing without God involved in it. Because the very fact that I have a business that's successful and that people reach out to is because something bad happened to me. You realize that, right?
Yeah, when you're injured.
Okay, so I had that. All right, so you go back even further and you go, okay, I had failed relationships before my wife because I was seeking the wrong type of person, the wrong kind of world. And I finally, honestly, this is what I did before I met my wife. I said, God, I'm done. I've done it my way. Send me who you want. Very next date was my wife. And my dad said, what do you think about this girl? I said, I'm scared. I think she can hurt me. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, she smiles, she's happy, and she's independent, and she's strong. I hadn't met nobody like that. You know, and that was in 2003.
Did you always think, with your experiences with women, did you just always attract, or like, did you think negatively about them, or did you think anything of it? What did you think of them in general?
No, I was a kid bullied and beat up all through middle school, and then got into working out to try to get even with people who hurt me, and then was picked on and never had a girlfriend, this, that, and the other. And then when I got to college, community college, and you blossom, as they say, all of a sudden women are interested in me, and they're interested in me for the wrong reasons. So, you know, I just wanted attention, and that's the wrong kind of attention. And I always say you're feeling the hole inside of yourself with physical attention when you need far more than that.
Right.
And that's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. It's going to bleed through, and it's not going to give you fulfillments like material things or anything else. You keep doing it more and more, and it ends up being a bottomless pit. And you end up more broken, and people betray you and leave you and use you. Okay.
So you were Christian, but you didn't practice during that time or praying?
A car sits in a parking spot. That makes it a car because it's a car. It sits in a parking spot. I can sit in a parking spot. Doesn't make me a car. I can sit in a church doesn't make me a Christian. I had I had done everything I was supposed to do. I went to church on Sunday. I did confirmation and all that stuff. You're a Christian on paper, not in practice. I don't think I was a Christian until I was 31 years old.
So until that day, like you said, send me somebody, or was it that or something else?
No, I don't think it was even then. I think that my wife and I still didn't get it until we moved here in 2006, and we went on a little spiritual retreat, and we knew all about religion, rules and regulations and all that. We didn't know anything about relationship. That's what was missing. A lot of churches, like you said, there's rules, this, rules that, all that, but never knew anything about, having a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And you're like, well, how do you do that? And you're like, for me, when my wife and I realized that, and we rededicated our lives, we planted 2 trees in the front yard to remember that. And now we have a 3rd tree, just the Emma tree, because my tree, my wife's tree, my daughter's tree, just to symbolize, hey, planted something, right? And that was our starting over date. And I'm thankful he allows U-turns. But my wife and I got together, and no reason I should have somebody that loves me that way, number one. Number two, she said she never wanted to have children. Okay. And I found out later because she didn't trust me or men in general. And we were walking one day, and I tell her about a guy who got caught cheating on his wife, who was a friend of mine, and how it shocked me. And she said, all men do it. It's only a matter of time for them to do it to me.
Story.
Yeah. And I realized why, because I lived one way at work and another way at home. So I was 2 people. That's called a hypocrite. Right. Yeah. And I learned that I cannot be 2 people. A double-minded man you can't be. It'll tear you apart. So I had to start changing. And to me, that's like when the sculptor takes out the chisel and he looks at the big block of marble, he sees something in it. And it doesn't hurt the marble, but God takes out the chisel and goes, you don't need that. And you go, ow, you don't need that. And it's a slow process. But
so the relationship is really what was like the catalyst. But here we go again, because you said it. Why do you say no one should love me like that? Again, the deserving, not deserving.
I'll answer your question with a question. Why does the word God hurt you so much?
It doesn't anymore.
No, but it did.
Because
the reason is
non-acceptance, non-acceptance, not unconditional love. I didn't feel.
But something happened,
or for somebody else.
Something happened to you that created a bad experience that left an emotional or mental, whatever scar on you from that experience, right? That happens to a lot of people in relationships and religion and whatnot. And you go, well, why do you say that? Why do you say that? Well, I lived as a little kid with a big head and gangly body and got beat up and picked on and was never popular and all that my whole youth existence. And then all of a sudden, you catch up or whatever, and people look at you differently, but in your head, you're still that little kid with no confidence, no security. And
so why does she love me? Yeah. Why does she love me? Like, what does she see?
No different than a woman who's had bad relationships and doesn't, trust a man and finally meets a good one and thinks, well, why is this one good? Right. Yeah. I mean, we base our present and future expectations and relationships on past performance because that's what we know. And that's dangerous because that actually holds us back. Because what if that one person is that genuine person? What if they are the real deal and you don't give them a chance because no, you're not going to hurt me again. And that's what we do. We guard ourselves when we're hurt. We don't let anybody back in. Firefighters are the worst at that. We'll save everybody else. But when we had problems, no, you can't talk to me. I'm not going to talk about that because I'll be perceived as weak, the negative stigma. I get, my job won't help me or, there'll be some negative consequence. The whole point is nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody. And when you're vulnerable, in my opinion, there's running into a burning building brave, and there's being brave enough to share your wounds. Because when you open up your wounds, guess what it does for someone else? It
allows them
to do what?
Share.
Because what did you just do by sharing something deeply personal that impacted not not shallow surface level conversations. When you say it with passion and with your voice shakes, it causes them to feel a certain amount of emotional connection.
I love it. I love it when men do it because it's such a cultural taboo.
Well, whether it's taboo or not, to me, it is the
Great.
way to connect to people.
Of course.
When I teach something that most people consider as dry, like thermal imaging, I make it personal. You know, there's 3 points in teaching. The last point I always use, it has to be experientially relevant, personally connecting to that person's life. If it doesn't, then it's nothing but a bunch of dry information. And when you tie that in and you make that connection with that person, that's where learning occurs. That's where growth occurs. That's where relationships are built.
But that's how closeness also, and people get fearful of that and getting attached and all that. But I think it's part of, but I think it's very enriching, like to go out in life, you know, that you built those few relationships that you can hopefully count on one hand.
Well, I got more than one hand now. I'm thankful for that.
That's good for you.
But I can tell you, if you're not brave enough to be vulnerable, you never will have any depth. You will have surface level relationships. They'll be Facebook friends only, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And they won't be any. You got people that you could call right now that bail you out of jail, that would come to your house to help you. Those are the people what I call real friends. Not the people that, you know, that like you on Facebook or wrote a good review, big whoop-de-doo-dah. I'm talking about, you know, they flew to your family member's funeral and they didn't have to. They didn't have to.
Well, those are the tests, though, to see if that's important to you or not. I mean, some people, I don't know, relationships and all that sort of everything, you know. Just like you said, though, what did you say? Don't trust man. But if you have that kind of a logic, though, like losing faith in people and good people and why you can't count on them and all that sort of stuff, is they're not going to care.
The difference is I don't trust mankind. I look at the person and say, what makes this person different and unique than the person on the street? And if this person, in the first 5 minutes, I can figure out who somebody is. Are they driven? Or are they called? Are they, you know, if they're driven, they're all about themselves and materialism and, you know, power and greed and whatever. If they're called, they do things differently. And you'll pick it up in the first 5 minutes in their behavior, how they talk to people, how they treat people. And some people may fool you, but in general, there are two types. And the called people are the ones that, whether they believe in God or not, God put it in their heart. They're value focused. They love to give. They'll open a door. They'll do some random act of kindness. They have an altruistic type of nature that they can't explain. Now, where do you think that come from? Some science experiment? No. Why would someone, let me ask you another question. Why would someone who's been hurt really bad by people in general all of a sudden decide, I can do two things? I can say all this bad stuff happened to me and I'll never let somebody hurt me again and I'll withhold from the world. Or I can use that